What happens when the people who once made you laugh until your sides hurt, the ones who knew your secrets, your stories, your history, are no longer around? What happens when the phone doesn't ring anymore? When birthdays come and go with fewer calls, fewer cards, maybe none at all? When the old photo albums are the only ones left keeping you company? If you've ever looked around and thought, how did I end up here, with all these memories and no one left to share them with? You're not alone. You might be over 70 now. You've lived, you've loved, you've lost. And somewhere along the way, the noise faded. The world kept spinning, but your days grew quieter. The lunch date stopped. The game nights ended. And slowly, your circle shrank. Let me ask you something. When was the last time someone asked how you were really doing? Not just a polite, "How are you?" but truly, "How is your heart?" Because loneliness, especially after a certain age, can feel like a fog. A heavy one. You can go days, even weeks, without real connection. And it's not that you don't have love to give. It's just that the people you gave it to aren't here anymore. And that can hurt. But here's what I want you to hear, right now, in this moment. Being alone doesn't mean your story is over. It doesn't mean you've run out of chances to feel joy, to laugh again, to be surprised by the beauty of life. This video is for you. If your heart has been aching for connection, if you found yourself wondering if the best parts of life are behind you, if you're tired of feeling invisible, even though you're still here, still breathing, still needing, then stay with me. Because I'm going to share with you 5 real-life guides, not theories, not fluffy ideas, but real things older adults like you are doing right now, to feel happy, peaceful, and connected, even when no friends are left. These aren't about pretending everything's okay. They're about finding new meaning in this new chapter. And some of these guides might surprise you. Some might even bring up a few emotions. But all of them are honest, practical, and deeply human. So, before we begin, let me ask you one more thing. Have you ever felt like everyone's moved on, but you're still here? Still standing. Still hoping. Still trying. If that's you, I want you to comment "Still here" below. Let's make this space a quiet little community, for people who still feel, still care, and still want to make the most of the life they have left. And if you're ready for more videos like this, videos that speak to your life, your heart, your truth, then go ahead and hit like, and subscribe to Elderly Care. You're not forgotten. You matter. And this is your time. Let's get into it. You've spent your whole life showing up for others. You were the one who made sure the family had meals. The one who stayed up late when the kids were sick. The one who worked, sacrificed, listened, helped. Decade after decade, your life has been filled with people, responsibilities, noise. And now, suddenly, it's quiet. Painfully quiet. The phone doesn't ring as often. No one's calling just to check in. The calendar has more blank space than birthdays. And at night, the silence feels louder than ever. It's in that silence that many older adults begin to feel lost. But what if, just what if, that silence wasn't the end of something, but the beginning? Let me tell you about Agnes. She's 74 now. Her best friend of 30 years passed away 2 winters ago. After the funeral, she came home, sat on her bed, and stared at the ceiling for hours. Not because she was tired, but because she didn't know what to do next. No one was calling. No one needed her. And for the first time in decades, there was no plan. Then one afternoon, she found an old sketch pad in a dusty drawer. She picked up a pencil, hesitated, and then started drawing a flower from memory. It wasn't perfect. Her hands shook. But it felt good. Agnes hadn't drawn since her 20s. But something about that simple act of putting pencil to paper woke something up inside her. Something that had been buried beneath years of caregiving, routines, and expectations. She didn't draw for anyone else. She did it for herself. And that's where real happiness begins. You see, solitude isn't always a curse. Sometimes, it's a mirror. For the first time in a long time, you get to look inward and ask, who am I, outside of who I used to be? What did I love, before life got too busy? It's easy to believe that happiness comes from being surrounded by people. But that's not always true. Happiness, lasting, soul-deep happiness, often starts when you learn to enjoy your own company. Here's a common misconception. People think that being alone means something is wrong. That it's a sign you've been forgotten or left behind. But here's the truth. Being alone doesn't mean you're unloved. It means you now have space to reconnect with the parts of yourself that have been patiently waiting in the background. You don't have to do anything grand. Start with just 15 minutes a day doing something that feels gently joyful. Maybe it's planting a few herbs in a windowsill box. Maybe it's humming your favorite song from the 60s while you fold laundry. Maybe it's writing down a memory you don't want to forget. Maybe it's watching the clouds pass and just breathing. This isn't about being productive. This is about being present with yourself. Because when you give yourself permission to rediscover who you are, you begin to build a friendship with the one person who will never leave you, you. And here's something else Agnes said that stuck with me. I thought I was lonely because I had no one to talk to. But I realized I hadn't listened to myself in years. You matter, not because you're needed by others, but because you're you. You've lived, you've learned, and you're still here. That in itself is worth honoring. So take that quiet moment. Pick up the pen. Tie your shoes. Brew the tea. And say to yourself, this moment is mine. And once you begin to reconnect inward, you may find yourself more open to the world around you again. Which brings us to the next guide. You don't need a crowd to feel connected. You just need a moment. Let me tell you about George. He's 76, lives alone since his wife passed 3 years ago. He told me something simple, yet profound. I go to the same cafe every morning, not for the coffee, but for the smile. You see, George doesn't sit down with friends or chat for hours. He just nods at the barista. He waves to the man walking his dog. He sees the same old woman who always reads the newspaper by the window. Nothing big. But over time, these tiny exchanges became his rhythm, his way of saying, I'm still part of this world. Here's what most people don't realize. Our brains are wired for connection, even in small doses. These quick, simple moments, what scientists call microinteractions, can release oxytocin. That's the hormone that helps us feel seen, safe, and emotionally warm. It's why a smile from a stranger can lift your whole morning. It's why hearing your name, even once a day, can make a lonely week feel a little lighter. Now, there's a big misunderstanding I want to clear up. Many older adults think if they don't have a real friend group, then they're alone. But the truth is, you don't need deep conversations every day to feel connected. You just need repetition. Familiar faces. Shared spaces. Let me say that again. Familiarity creates friendliness. The more often you're seen in the same place, the more likely people will smile, wave, maybe even stop for a few words. So, how do you create these social micro-moments? It's easier than you think. Pick 1 or 2 places you can visit regularly. A small park. A corner shop. Your library. The bakery down the road. Go at the same time each week. Make it your spot. You don't have to talk at first, just show up. Over time, people will start to recognize you. And when they do, when someone says, good morning, or even just nods at you, you'll feel it. That little lift in your chest. That reminder, I matter. I'm not invisible. And if you feel brave, take the first step. Compliment someone's hat. Ask about their dog. Smile first. Because here's something beautiful. Most people, especially younger ones, want to connect with older adults. They just don't know how to start. So maybe, you could teach them. With kindness. With eye contact. With a simple, hello. You don't have to build a new tribe. Just plant small seeds. A little human warmth, spread out across your week, can bring incredible emotional stability. And here's one more thing to remember. These moments aren't a replacement for deep friendship. But they are the foundation for emotional resilience. Because when you feel seen, even just for a few seconds, it reminds you that you still have a place in the world. And the more often you feel that, the easier it becomes to open up to new people, new places, and even new parts of yourself. Which brings us to the next guide, one that isn't about the outside world at all. It's about something deeper. Quieter. But just as powerful. Sometimes, peace isn't found in people. It's found in quiet places, within you. Let me tell you about Fatima. She's 80 now. Lives in a small apartment with a view of the morning sun. She once told me, I pray not just because I believe, but because it's how I remember I'm still part of something bigger. Every morning, without fail, she lays out her scarf, closes her eyes, and begins her day with prayer. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just steady. Grounding. And here's the thing. It's not really about the religion. It's about the ritual, the rhythm. The moment where you pause and remind yourself, I'm here. I'm alive. I matter. You see, when the world outside grows quieter, when friends pass, family moves on, or routines begin to shift, spirituality can become your anchor. It gives your days meaning beyond errands, pills, and meals. It gives your heart a space to breathe. Now let me be clear, spirituality doesn't have to mean religion. That's one of the biggest misunderstandings people have. Some think, I'm not religious, so this doesn't apply to me. But it does. Spirituality is whatever connects you to peace, to your breath, to a memory, to nature, to silence. It could be prayer, yes. But it could also be sitting quietly with your morning tea, eyes closed, feeling the warmth. Writing one thing you're thankful for before bed. Walking slowly through your garden, noticing the way the leaves move. Breathing deeply while listening to soft music. These simple acts, they create space in your day where stress can't reach you. And in that space, you begin to heal. Emotionally. Mentally. Even physically. Because the truth is, a quiet soul is a strong soul. And when you develop a small, daily reflective practice, you start to feel more grounded. Less reactive. More open to joy, even in the midst of loss. So here's my advice. Start small. Just one grounding ritual a day. Maybe in the morning before the world stirs. Or at night when everything winds down. You can light a candle. Or repeat a calming word. Or sit in stillness and just be. No pressure. No rules. Just presence. And here's something beautiful I've noticed in people who do this consistently. They begin to smile more, even when alone. They carry themselves differently, calmer, softer, but more confident. Because they've learned something powerful. Even in silence, they are whole. And when you embrace that kind of inner stillness, you begin to radiate something gentle and inviting. People notice. The world feels a little less sharp. And you begin to feel less like you're just getting through the day. And more like you're living it with intention. But even as you nurture your spiritual life, there's another kind of fulfillment that's just as essential. Something just as healing. Something deeply human. It's the feeling of being needed. of having a role, a purpose. And that's exactly what we'll explore next. Let's talk about how giving back, yes, even now, can light a spark that changes everything. There's something truly powerful about waking up and knowing someone is counting on you. Let me tell you about James. He's in his late 70s. A widower. He told me there were days, after his wife passed, where he wouldn't even open the curtains. He said the quiet in the house was so loud, it made his ears ring. Then one day, he walked into a community center. No plan. No appointment. Just curiosity. They needed someone to read stories to kids once a week. He figured, why not? Now. He goes twice a week. Same chair. Same story circle. Tiny faces gathered around, listening to every word. He says that when he reads, I feel like I still matter. And he does. Because here's the truth. Purpose doesn't have an expiration date. When you do something for someone else, especially when you don't have to, it reignites something inside you. A sense of usefulness. Direction. Hope. Science actually backs this up. When you contribute to something larger than yourself, your brain lights up. Your mood improves. Your memory sharpens. Even your physical health can benefit. It's not magic, it's meaning. But I get it. There's a voice that might whisper, I'm too old. No one needs me anymore. That voice is lying to you. Because your presence, your stories, your wisdom, they're more valuable now than ever. You've lived. You've loved. You've learned the hard way. And someone out there, maybe a neighbor, a child, a younger caregiver, needs what only you can offer. But it doesn't have to be grand. You don't need to organize a charity or start a project. Sometimes it's as simple as calling someone who lives alone, sharing your favorite book with a child down the street, helping a young neighbor learn how to fix something, writing your life stories in a notebook for your grandchildren to read one day, or just being that calm, listening ear at a local senior center. Even a small effort can ripple out further than you think. Because here's the secret. Purpose isn't about being busy. It's about feeling useful. It's about knowing your life still holds value, beyond your own needs. And when you do something for others, no matter how small, you begin to heal parts of yourself, too. Grief softens. Loneliness fades. Joy comes back in little pieces. So, what can you do this week that gives your day a sense of direction? Who needs something you already have? A smile. A memory. A little time. Find that. Hold on to it. And let it lead you forward. Because when you know you matter to someone else, you start to matter more to yourself, too. But maybe right now, you're thinking, that all sounds nice, but I don't even have the energy to try. I'm just tired. All the time. And if that's you, please keep listening. Because the final guide might be the most important one of all. It's not about doing more. It's about allowing yourself to simply be, without guilt. Let's talk about how to nurture joy gently, even on your quietest, slowest days. Silence, stillness, solitude. These are not just moments that happen to us. They are moments we can step into, like a warm room after a long walk in the cold. And when we look back at everything we've covered so far, we start to see the pattern, like gentle threads weaving through a quiet tapestry of strength. We talked about remembering your story. Not the story others wrote for you, but your story. The one with the quiet victories, the hard-earned wisdom, the mornings you got up even when you didn't feel like it. That memory, it's sacred. And in the silence, it speaks more clearly than ever. Then we looked at the power of asking for help, not because you're weak, but because you're human. Because being cared for and caring for others is a rhythm, a partnership. In silence, that rhythm becomes a heartbeat, steady, reassuring, present. We explored the practice of movement, not just walking, but moving with intention. The kind of movement that says, I'm still here. My body may change, but my spirit adapts. When the world is quiet, you can actually hear your body. And it will tell you what it needs, if you're willing to listen. And yes, we honored the act of letting go, of guilt, of roles, of the belief that your worth is tied to productivity. In the quiet, you realize, your value never left. It was simply waiting for you to notice it again. And now, here in guide number 5, we sit with the silence. Not to fill it. Not to fight it. But to be with it. Like Margaret did, whispering to herself not out of loneliness, but out of love. That shift, from discomfort to acceptance, is one of the most profound in any healing journey. There's a reason hospitals have quiet hours. There's a reason the most powerful moments at a bedside are the ones where nothing is said, just hands held, eyes meeting, presence shared. Silence is not the absence of care, often, it's the proof of it. So what can we do in this silence? We can remember. We can forgive. We can breathe. We can offer ourselves compassion that doesn't need to be spoken to be real. And if the silence brings tears, let them fall. Not because something is wrong, but because something matters. If the silence brings a smile, welcome it like an old friend. If the silence brings memories, some soft, some sharp, thank them for visiting. Then, gently, let them move on. Elder care is not just about medication charts and appointments. It's not just about walkers and wheelchairs. It's about being seen. It's about the quiet moments when someone says, I'm still me, even if the world moves past too fast to notice. That's what this guide is truly about. Because the truth is, silence does not mean you've been left behind. It means you're standing still in a world that forgot how to slow down. And in that stillness, you can rediscover who you are, beyond age, beyond aches, beyond labels. You are not invisible. You are present. You are not forgotten. You are remembering. You are not done. You are becoming. So tonight, or tomorrow, or whenever the quiet finds you next, don't rush to fill it. Sit with it. Light that candle. Touch your heart. Close your eyes. And hear what your own soul has been trying to tell you all along. I am still here. I am still enough. I am still me. Now, take a deep breath. Because we're just getting started. Feeling left behind. It's one of the hardest truths of growing older. Not just the loss of people, but the loss of shared moments. You walk into a room and realize, no one in it remembers who you used to be. The phone doesn't ring like it used to. Holidays are quieter. And some days, the silence around you speaks louder than any conversation ever could. It's a kind of loneliness that doesn't just sit in your chest. It wraps around your spirit. But, let's take a breath here. Because here's something that often gets forgotten in all the noise of staying busy and being strong. You are still becoming. Yes, right now, in this exact season of your life, you are still becoming something meaningful. Being alone doesn't mean you're done. It doesn't mean the story is over. It means the story is yours to shape, on your terms. You don't have to fill your life with people to make it valuable. You don't need a crowd to make your days matter. What you do need, is a little spark. A little moment of, yes. Yes, I'll water that plant today. Yes, I'll take that walk. Yes, I'll turn on music and just, sit with it. Small actions. Quiet wins. That's where peace begins again. So let me invite you, gently, to pick just one guide we talked about today. Just one. Which one spoke to your heart? Was it reconnecting with yourself, maybe bringing back an old part of you that's been asleep for years? Was it the idea of forming tiny social micro-moments, those nods and glances that remind you you're still part of the world? Maybe it was the comfort of a simple spiritual routine. Something that grounds you without needing explanation. Or the thought of giving your time, your story, your care, to something or someone outside yourself. Or maybe, it's learning to sit with the silence. And finally, no longer fear it. Whichever one pulled at your spirit, start there. You don't have to do it all. You don't have to get it perfect. You just have to begin. Because your life, it still matters. The world might move fast and forgetful, but that doesn't make you invisible. You are still here. You still carry laughter in your bones. You still have lessons, warmth, and wonder to offer. And even in your quietest moments, joy still lives. It hasn't gone away. It's just waiting. Waiting for the door to crack open again. So today, let that door open, just a little. Let in the light. Let in the new rhythm of this chapter. Because you're not fading, you're unfolding. And I promise, there is so much more waiting for you. You're not alone in this. You're walking with generations of others who feel just like you. And who are slowly, steadily, finding new life in the silence. Hold on to that. Hold on to you. Let's take a moment to gently walk back through the 5 real-life guides we explored today. 1. Reconnect with yourself, because the relationship you have with you is the one that carries everything else. 2. Create social micro-moments, those tiny human exchanges, like a smile at the cafe or a familiar face at the park. They matter more than we often realize. 3. Embrace spirituality or reflection, whether through faith, breath, journaling, or quiet thought. There's power in pausing and reaching inward. 4. Find a purpose beyond yourself, because being needed, being helpful, even in small ways, that gives us roots and wings, all at once. 5. Learn to sit with the silence, not fearing it, but learning to live within it. Sometimes, silence isn't empty, it's full of wisdom waiting to rise. Now let me ask you something personal. Which one of these guides spoke to you the loudest today? Was there a part of this video that felt like I was talking straight to your heart? Or maybe, you've discovered your own little way of feeling content, even when no one else is around? If so, I'd love to hear it. Scroll down and share it in the comments. I read every one. And believe me, your story might be exactly what someone else out there needs to hear tonight. Because here's the truth. This isn't just a video. This is a growing circle, a space where we honor the experience of aging, of loving and losing, of becoming again. And if this video helped you see aging in a new light, if it gave you even one new reason to breathe a little deeper today, please, like it. And subscribe to Elderly Care. Not for the numbers. Not for the clicks. But because every time you do, it tells the platform, hey, this content matters. These voices matter. This phase of life deserves attention, compassion, and respect. So join us. Stick around. We're building a warm, honest, real space, where later life isn't the end of your story, it's just a new chapter you get to write with your own hands. And before you go, thank you. Thank you for spending these few quiet minutes with me. I know your time, your attention, your heart, it's all precious. Remember, you are never too old to find meaning. Never too late to feel peace. And it's never, ever too dark for a new beginning to rise. Stay strong. Stay open. Stay beautifully, unapologetically present. And I'll see you in the next video. Right here, on Elderly Care.